Alright guys, welcome back to Ralph's house. We're getting there, we're getting closer and closer to see what we can do. I'm going to grab some raw lumber here and just some water. I got to get some more darks right back in here. Kind of do a wash in there, kind of tone that down just a little bit darker right there. So I can get my tree. I'm losing my tree there. But I can't, and I keep wondering why, and it's just I can't get it. So we're going to do that right there. Get some dark right back in there. We need to darken that a little bit. I'll water my brush, clean my brush out a little bit. I didn't see me do that. Y'all off canvas, so. Okay, there we go. Here, I'm creasing it up here on top of that tree. Grab a little bit of ultramarine blue and put in with that. Ultramarine blue and burnt umber, and just kind of. And somehow I picked up I guess I had my brush too wet to start with. Sometimes that'll happen. Just get something to kind of absorb all that extra water and get it off the canvas. That was still wet. I'm going to pick some of that water up there off my canvas. That brush was still a little bit wet. I wanted that color in there. I wanted to put those woods back just a little bit further, and that's why I wanted to do that. Kind of glaze it back there a little bit. Add a little more depth to it. I needed that right in there. So we'll add another layer, another dimension that's kind of missing right now. When I step back and look at these things, I see it. I'm going to change the brush. I've got something in that brush that's not allowed to do what I want to do. Let me grab another brush here. A little bit drier brush. There we go. Just lays it up there. Alright, let's see what we can do here. Looking at our tree, we need some kind of green. I'm going to grab some sap green. There's a little bit of that in there, and some yellow ochre. Mix that two together a little bit. And that kind of tones that green down a little bit. I want some green up in there, but not just a real bright green. I think that tones it down enough. But we got some up in there. I'm trying to look and see if that's part of the tree or if that's some vines that are growing up there in the trees with it, but it is part of the tree. So we're going to grab some of that little bit green in there and just kind of punch some of it in there. Again, do not lose all those not neat, good darks we got over there. Paint around them. Don't lose all your darks. That's not a bad green. It's got some green in that tree. Let's catch some in here and coming out up under the under part. Don't lose all my darks. Get some over here where I push on top of these other colors that are piled up so high, it'll pick up a little bit of that. So that kind of carries that now. That's rolling back into that greenery back in there. Here at the top. Now down at the base of that tree, we've got some greenery down here. Some little bushes, some little shrubs growing down here. So we're going to try to catch that in there too, right into that hay bale. We still got to do our hay bale. We haven't done that yet. We got a couple of shoots coming up, and on that we got another little limb here. Look at how it works there. Just paint that in there. Just stick it in there just like that. I think I saw my neighbor drive by. He's probably looking for that extension cord for that noisy thing he had, leaf blower thing he had. Don't know where it went though. Don't know. But it ain't making no noise no more. He shouldn't have gone in and took a break, should he? Actually, we got very good neighbors. He won't mind when I take it back to him. He'll laugh about it. I tell him we was in the process of doing serious ciphering going on out here, you know. Serious artwork. Add some ultramarine blue to that. Let's get a dark green down here at the base of this tree, the shadow side of that leaf. A little more ultramarine blue mixed in with that sap green, and see it's going to give me a shadow. See that? Creates that shadow green down here at the base of that tree. There's that kind of look like something growing down at the base of that tree, because always something growing at the base of a tree. You know, you don't. I'm not real good at weed eating, and I don't get down there and take care of all that little neat shrub, brush stuff. I think it looks pretty in the fall, so I'm going to leave it for everybody to admire. Kind of admire my handiwork there. Leave that stuff out there. Something to paint. Tell my wife that's why I don't do a whole lot of yard work. I need just to paint come fall, you know. Tell you what, I need to work on the base of that tree just a little bit. Let's see if we can make a tree base color. That's such an odd colored tree. Let's just pull that on up into there. The farther up it goes, the darker it actually gets. With the sun's, all that canopy is covering up the top. I think we got closer to getting that color. I mixed some of that green we had going here with some of my burnt sienna, and it kind of gave me that little funny color it's got in that tree. I'm going to create some of them branches on up into this tree, you see. Push up here in that dark. Don't be afraid to create some branches on the way on up there. I'm going to add some ultramarine blue to it. So put that in there with it, with that green. To get that shadow side back. Look where those shadows are up in here. Here in the tree. That's a good shadow color. Back side of that tree kind of going off in there. I like it. Come on down in here and kind of carry some of that in here. You never know who's going to show up. So even the neighbors come. They kind of, everybody likes painting. Everybody wants to paint. If you sit outside and do this, somebody's going to show up and say, "What are y'all doing?" That's half the fun of it, isn't it? We're just out here having a good time. Carry that up there. Some branches up in here on top of that canopy. Get those branches back. They're heading off in here. We just put them branches in there. Down into that tree, that comes up. All these different little branches. A few strokes. A little bit dark over here. It's got a little branch coming up off there. Catch some of that. Show inside those trees that are back there in the woods. There's trees growing everywhere. There's some trees back in here. Trees back in here, they kind of disappeared, and all this painting and all this coloring, we'll put them back in there. Push the bottoms on the shadows off down there. There's a big old oak stand there, and he kind of forked off that direction. So we're just kind of getting some of this stuff back to the picture that we kind of lost a little bit. I'll tell you what, y'all come back next time, we'll see what we can do. Y'all come.